to Uplink, the only place on the internet where you can find out about all the latest gaming news that's happening across the gaming industry. And of course, we're never gone for any amount of time. It hasn't been like a month since the last upload.
Weeks after it happens, we're here for the news,
We're here
baby.
to let you know about the stuff that just happened, including things that have already happened.
Right.
Because we can't report on them until they happen. I'm Andrew Hamilton, your host, joined here by my co-host, Royden Ogletree. Before we get started on anything, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came out to the ATG Expo at Waco Convention Center, and especially to anyone who stopped by the booth to have a good old Tekken battle and get absolutely decimated by me, apparently, because
Get wrecked.
I can't believe how few of you are good at video games, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I
It's not like I was
expected more
bad.
challenge.
Not like I was bad at all. Y'all all stink. I don't.
Look, here's the craziest thing, y'all. I expected to
Is this
go
how we
there.
get viewers? Like just neg them and
Yeah,
beat them
I think if we insult the viewership enough, they will
they
actually
will love
grow.
us. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I expected to go there and lose, and you all came and lost to me, and I appreciate you throwing matches to make me feel better about myself. If you want to see us at more stuff, let us know in the comment section about any events that are coming up that you'd like to see us show up at. We maybe can make that happen.
Thank you to everyone that came. Unless you didn't subscribe, then you're dead to me.
In which case, get out.
Yeah. Or subscribe right now, then you can keep watching.
Yeah, remember, subscribers get bonus money in their account every year at some point.
I don't know if that's true.
Not legally binding.
I don't
You can't
think
hold
that's
me to
true.
that. That's can I get the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen? All right, cool.
Where's this money coming from?
It's not.
Where's it?
It's not.
You told me we were going to get money.
Anyway, are you getting paid for this?
No.
I'm not getting paid.
Oh
for
my
this.
God.
Oh my God. Anyway, there's tons of stuff to talk about. There's the Xbox Developer Direct that happened last week. Lots of cool drops there.
That was a thing.
Everyone was very excited about the Xbox Developer Direct. Lots of cool announcements to go over. We're going to talk about some less cool stuff like Suicide Squad.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
And
yes.
also the layoffs.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Palworld a little bit, because what if this is maybe like Pokémon too much? Maybe. We'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, what if we did a copyright infringement?
What if it was just copyright infringement every day?
Yeah.
Also, I've got another one I want to talk about that's not related to Palworld, but it's also, I'm like, how is this legal? We'll talk about that.
Love that.
And then lastly, we're going to go over some sad layoffs that have been happening as they escalate into this year, and what that could be related to, and whether or not that's going to be a trend that continues. Spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about Xbox. How did you feel about the Developer Direct?
I didn't watch it in real time. Obviously, some of the stuff that you were sending me, because we work other jobs, but Andrew does most of it. So yeah, he does most of this, and I kind of just show up. But the
That's all we need you for.
exactly. But the things that you sent me, like, I'm cautiously optimistic about these exclusives for Xbox. Mostly Hellblade, which I don't know if we'll popcorn around to what you saw, but like Hellblade looks like it's expanding on the first game, of which I didn't play, but I watched a lot more gameplay than I thought I would today of Hellblade 1. And yeah, just the what it got awarded for the first time, the audio design, you know, the motion capture, it looks like it's expanding on that. They try to go into that we're expanding the environments, which do look great I guess they're almost in beta now, or they?
I think they should be getting close to a finalized build, because it's out in May.
Yeah, so the environments look really cool in Iceland, which is a not really
It's not super common.
explored area.
Yeah.
I love anything with Vikings or the Celtic mythology, anything like that. So, and it also looks kind of frightening too.
Yeah, the first game certainly leaned into some horror elements.
And yeah, that looked, I'm cautiously optimistic about that. We'll be interested to see how the combat plays out. They basically were saying, we want you to make it think like you barely got out of every fight that you won.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see. What was it? Awoken? What was the first one?
Avowed.
Avowed.
Avowed is the
Awoken.
one that looks most interesting to me. Obsidian has proven themselves.
Can I tell you what it looks like?
What?
It looks like Elder Scrolls. It looks like Oblivion.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look good. It kind of looks like Oblivion to me
It
at
does.
this point.
It's got a very stylized art style that does kind of is reminiscent of old.
Oh, I'm just
school
talking about the
Obsidian.
gameplay almost.
But yeah, I would agree there too. I think we've talked about it a little bit that, first-person shooters have come a long way because you don't have to just have, it's me, the character anymore, Now you can have characters that don't have their hands up all the time and magic comes out of the sides or whatever, I think that this is a little more old school, but I think that's intentional because I really think that what they're trying to do is be like, because I feel like a lot of people have been like, there hasn't been a game to top Skyrim since Skyrim as far as RPGs that you can play in first person go. I think they're trying to do that. They're trying to do their take on Skyrim, just like Fallout New Vegas was their take on the Fallout universe. I think this is just them trying to do their take on Skyrim. And I think they're doing a good job of mixing that with some Fable-esque and Outer World kind of vibes with it. I will say that the gameplay they showed, the combat looks fun, but the rest of it was exceedingly boring to me.
I don't know what it takes to be a voice actor. I've done voiceover for some things, but like a voice actor that has to
takes more than that.
It takes more than that. But it sounds like they're talking about high fantasy in just like normal dude at a bodega voice.
Yeah, he's like, so like the gremlins got out there and like
the bleepablorps went to the bleepabloop and dude, they just took my Cheetos and you're just like, what?
But also like it's funny that you say that because I've always thought that like the way that high fantasy characters talk, if you lived in that universe, would you be surprised anymore when the dragon flies by? Or would you be like, it's like airplanes where you're just like...
Yeah, me and my buddy used to talk about all that, like you couldn't live in medieval times. I can't go outside tonight. There's a witch outdoors. Yeah. And you're like, what?
It's kind of like that movie that Pixar did about the two brothers.
Oh, yeah, Onward.
Onward, yeah, thank you. Where like the only one who's excited about magic and dragons and the D&D side of that universe is the one brother who's like
a nerd.
He's like, behold the adventure. And everyone's like, no, we're just going to the mall, man. Like I know it's called like the grail of infinite wisdom, but it's just
a cup.
That's the mall.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a funness about being more like lackadaisical about the conversation, but I do think it's a delicate balance that they need to work on because I was pretty bored listening to the dialogue.
I will say this. I mean, it's obviously not finished, but I do like the mix and match of hand-to-hand combat versus like wielding a wand or like wielding a sword and a wand or like that sort of thing. I found that to be really interesting. And there's not enough like, besides the Harry Potter game, of course there's magic wielding games, but just things where you're like a wizard.
Yeah, there's not.
It's kind of interesting, like wand.
We missed out on, and I talked about this a little bit in my Immortals of Avium review thing I did last year, but that game could have been our first taste of Wizard of Duty.
Wizard of Duty,
because like I fully expected Doom plus wizard skills makes like cool battle mechanics, but what I got was different colored bullets coming out of the machine gun in your hand.
Yeah.
And that's lame. But if they can find a way to make magic cool and functional in a first-person environment and give you good movement to go with it, like magic should be super creative stuff. Like I think that's where like Zelda nails it. The magic stuff in that game that's in there, like the way that the elemental tools and stuff work together, they interact with each other. You can create cool effects and stuff. Skyrim kind of missed out on that a little bit. There's some things that you can do that with, but not everything. I think no game has made it so that like you can feel like you're thinking on your feet with magic. Mm-hmm. Even the Harry Potter game, you're just mashing one of 4 spells at any time
on a wheel,
and you're matching it to the correct color to make sure you do the right kind of. And it's kind of like after a while, like it's kind of tedious and boring. I hope, and am guessing by the gameplay, I'm hoping that there's more to it than that we're gonna get out of. Avowed. I think that Obsidian has the right pedigree here. I think that they are thinking about this as a Skyrim competitor all these years later, finally. And that's what they're going to end up probably having to compete against 7 years down the road when we get Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, the next one.
They'll have to re-release this game so that it's out at the same time.
Speaking of first-person games with awkward movement, I just butchered that. Speaking of first-person games with awkward movement. Indiana Jones. Go ahead.
Troy Baker.
Yeah.
We did not guess that initially.
No, exactly.
Man.
Indiana Jones and
the Great Circle. First off, can I just say, it's a dumb shit name, y'all. I'm sorry. You got the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom. Or Lost Ark, yeah. Temple of Doom. Even Crystal Skulls. Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls is like that's a cool name, poorly executed movie. Dude, The Great Circle. It
the
sounds
fantastic hexagon.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like the first thing that came to my head. I don't know if anyone else also thought this, but it was like Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin.
the magic triangle.
Yeah. Like, Indiana Jones in the Sphere of Wonder.
The mysterious octagon.
Yeah. This is the beginning of the trilogy. We'll just keep going down geometric patterns until Indiana Jones is too old to recognize them.
So, look, we talked about this, I think, a little bit, and I've said I was really hyped for this game. Obviously, it's from the folks who did Wolfenstein.
Machine Games, yeah.
Yeah, Machine Games.
Which, again, good pedigree for this. No one punches more Nazis, kills more Nazis than Machine Games.
Yeah, they're very good at it. And so is Indiana Jones. And then I saw the trailer, and
it didn't sell me.
Yeah, and that seems bad for a game that, like, with an IP that is pretty universally loved. I know that your mileage may vary on the last two movies that have come out, but like,
you still probably have fond memories of the
right, you still have fond memories, and it seems like they're diving back into that young Indiana Jones.
They said it's specifically between the two best movies.
Yeah, middle-aged Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
who it is Harrison Ford's face,
but with Troy Baker doing a Harrison Ford doing Indiana Jones.
Right, exactly.
It's that triangle that's making it up.
And it looked like that. The cut scenes and stuff look like the game's not done. Obviously, look fine. And the motion capture and the voice by Troy Baker is a good impression of Harrison Ford, I would say.
Yeah,
people
it took us a second to realize it.
Yeah, it took me. I thought it was.
We thought it was AI.
I thought for sure they just used his voice, like they used his facial scans in the last movie.
Ultimate compliment you can give a voice actor now is to be like, I thought that was AI, and they go, like, well, that's because I'm a very good impressionist.
Right. And then they got to the gameplay movement.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's in first person, and it's just wonky.
Two mistakes here that I think have been made, and you could tell Todd Howard's been involved because of one of them. First. Making it first person. Look, guys, I understand. Uncharted's a big game, and you're scared. Nathan Drake's a big boy. He could beat up your dad. But
they gave us the best Indiana Jones game.
They already gave us the best Indiana Jones, and you needed to just do Indiana Jones that's as good and well written as Uncharted, but for Xbox. Because Xbox players, for the most part, haven't experienced it. So you had the ground to be like, oh, yeah, it's going to get comparison to Uncharted, but as long as we meet that level and we try to, Yeah,
there's a long runway there.
I know, but, it's...
No, for players to just be like, okay, like, we can land you on this
It's almost Uncharted. Like, if it's almost Uncharted, it's still better than the no Uncharted that they had on the platform to begin with. So my thing is that probably shouldn't have been first person. I also wouldn't have done the weird swap between third person whenever you use the whip or have action set pieces. This is, I saw a tweet on X, refused to call it like Zitter or whatever. But someone was like, you can tell Todd Howard's been involved in this game because they couldn't decide if it was a first person or a third person game. And famously, Todd doesn't like to restrict. So that's why Starfield and Fallout and Skyrim all have both. But when you do that, some of the focus of how good it doesn't feel perfect to play in either way.
Well, because the combat becomes wonky.
Yeah, because you've programmed it for two separate things and the viewpoint doesn't add up. Kind of like how in Grand Theft Auto 5 when they added the first person mode, that was cool for like an immersion thing.
Yeah.
But it's not the way you want to play the game because it's not that like having to smash the X button to sprint while in first person feels weird.
Also, first-person games always throw me off, too. I don't know why it is. It's just been that way my entire life.
There's a certain amount of people.
I know Call of Duty is like that, but like I'm also just kind of like...
There's a certain amount of people out there that actually struggle with first-person... I don't know what the official thing... I'd say first-person syndrome is what I'd call it, but basically your brain doesn't fully connect to the camera to head motion.
Yeah.
Because you're used to being able to walk and pivot your head pretty easily without having to worry about it. And when you're in third person, you can see kind of everything, so it doesn't ever affect you in that way. But when you're in first person,
I think it's the
you have to
peripheral
remember
vision thing.
If you want to be able to see over here or over here, you have to remember to adjust your camera and stuff more often.
With this, it was just more of like because
janky
it definitely just looks unfinished.
Yeah.
And they released an unfinished gameplay.
It looks too much like Wolfenstein. That's my problem.
Right.
My problem is that I don't want Indiana Jones to just be like
Wolfenstein reskin.
Yeah, I don't want BJ skinned over with Harrison Ford. Like, I think they're two different kinds of IPs, but they share the Nazi similarity. You know, I think that there's totally a place for a first-person game like action adventure, driven by an archaeologist if you want to be whatever. There's totally a place for that. But I think Indiana Jones is iconic. Why would you if you made the Batman Arkham games first-person? Kind of doesn't feel like Batman anymore, right?
You just don't show the character.
Because unless the cutscenes are most of the game, which, guys, don't do that, right? We want to play the games. That's why we buy them.
We didn't want another movie, because those have
Also,
been great.
The Hellblade guys, look, you're allowed to make movies. You could just make movies.
Yeah.
If you're not going to bring a whole bunch of new stuff to your combat and stuff, I don't know whose hair that is.
Yeah.
Don't just make a movie, right? You can totally, you're allowed to make movies. It's okay. Can we normalize making movies?
Yeah, that'd be great. I do that. That's part of my job now, honestly.
Yeah.
Is reviewing movies. Go check that out. But like
Royden's reviews tagged in the
exactly.
And
I don't even think any of those are even online. I just have been
I'm sure they have to be.
I've been throwing them out there in the ether.
Into the void.
But also the thing though too is like it looks like the combat and traversal system really relies on the whip. And I know we're talking about this game more so but it's been one of the most.
It's the bigger IP of all.
Yeah, it's been one of the most talked about things for a long time when they released that weird teaser photo of the hat on a map.
Yeah,
but
and
like
he uses the whip very sparingly in
the movie.
Movies.
Yeah,
it's not like his
he
go-to.
fins off people, but this is like you're using it to trip folks. And to like
it just does
hurt
magic
them.
Also.
Yeah. It also extendo whip, you know?
Yeah, you can use it to grapple off of anything. Like I mean, and then also like combat scenarios are going to be weird because if the combat scenario is designed so that you can rush in with your fist as a man, just a man.
Yeah, just a dude.
Just a man, who can not take bullets.
I mean, you can't kill Indiana Jones.
You could and you should. You kill all your characters so we can't keep doing this. But if you go in and you're punching at dudes and you're killing Nazis that way, that means the other enemies that are in the scenario are either also going to have to be unarmed or their AI has been told to not shoot while punching's happening.
Yeah.
Which makes the challenge and interestingness of the combat scenarios drastically drop. So I'm just worried that the focus on the melee combat in a world where guns exist is going to lead to a lot of situations where there's Nazis that are weirdly not armed. Like, to my knowledge.
Very, very known thing that happened with those folks, A
lot of Krav Maga being taught to people long before it was ever invented.
I'm being cautious about it. We're probably doing a lot of concern trolling about it right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still excited if it comes out.
If it's good, I'll love it.
Yeah.
Can I just say that? If a game is good, I'll probably love it.
Yeah.
If it's bad, we're gonna.
If it's good enough, I might have to bite the bullet and finally buy that Xbox. But
do it. Look, if Indiana Jones is something that
it's one of my favorite IPs of all time.
Yeah. If it's not something that can sell systems at this point, then maybe we need to retire Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Because we should have retired him already. Yeah. But for sure, there was a space for this video game. Anyway, speaking of large IPs, Pokémon is real mad right now. They're not, actually. They don't care that much. You guys heard of Palworld?
Look, I had seen that trailer. We covered the trailer a long
time ago.
Pokemon with guns is what, is what everybody has called it. But it's so much more than that. And
it's so much worse than that. I have opinions. I've played the game now.
Oh, you have?
I've played the game.
Are you playing on Steam?
I played it on Xbox.
Okay.
It's on Game Pass. Which, hey, fun fact, don't buy the game. Go play it on Game Pass. I will say
it got 2 million downloads. It was only like
it's at
second
8
to
million
PUBG.
right now. Yeah. Here's the thing. That trend is already slowing down. This will die out because there is not a it factor for this game, for me anyways. And I don't think that I think a lot of people are running into this eventually. It's not Pokemon with guns. It's Pokemon with late stage capitalism. Like it is, the goal is to get resources, then to, by killing and slaughtering and taking from the land and the animals around you, or the people around you, who you can also capture, by the way. So slavery. And then using them without paying them to build your empire by putting them to work in basically workshops or sweatshops so that you can get passive resources and build stuff. So you can go do more stuff.
Yeah.
It is capitalism with Pokemon on the surface. Now, whether or not,
but also guns, because that's also late stage capitalism.
here's what I think here's what I think happened. Someone made a joke, right? Someone made a joke at the beginning of development on this game. What if Pokemon, but for grown-ups, bypassing the fact that Pokemon's audience is like, I don't know, 46% grown-ups, but
38
whatever.
years old.
Yeah. And so their first thought was guns, right? Okay. That would be fine. We kind of had a game like that came out a couple years ago that Nintendo eventually got shut down. It was about hunting Pokemon. But that game got shut down because it was literally just Pokemon models in a game that you were hunting with realistic looking guns. This is a little different. And by a little, I mean very little, because
it's not, man.
You're not fooling anyone here. Look, this is a delicate ride we're going to be on here, because I don't want to discredit anyone's artistry. And I know people take inspiration from popular stuff all the time. But to quote an anonymous developer, dude, if your meshes for your models are ending up looking so similar to another creation once in your game, that's already a hell of a coincidence. If you do it on repeat for most of the roster for your characters in your game, it's not a coincidence anymore, it's intentional. I feel weird about this because I don't want to be defending the major corporation.
I mean, there was a clip that was literally like somebody had a what's the fox in Pokemon, that an Eevee or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And you can use it as a flamethrower, which is a whole weird sentence on its own.
Again, weird game.
But it's literally the model of an Eevee.
Yeah, it is basically Eevee, but with extra white fluff. It's called Cream, I think, is what it's called. Which, ew. There's also one that's just Meganium. Look at this one. That's Meganium for sure. Tell me, look at these two pictures.
They also have like a Totoro-looking character, but that's...
Yeah. Oh, and this is Lucario? You telling me that's not Lucario? What about this one? Is that Raichu? Looks like Raichu to me. Too similar. I'm gonna have to remember to put all these pictures in here.
This is gonna be really weird.
I'm gonna look like a psychopath.
It's gonna look really weird.
Oh my God, what I look like.
He's actually seeing these in his mind. You can't see them.
I'm projecting them. Do you guys see that?
Right. Yeah, it is weird to look. Pokemon has the upper hand because it's, and they definitely came first before like Digimon and stuff.
Yeah, long before
so,
Digimon.
So like they have the upper hand in that we created these digital monsters and have since been creating them in perpetuity forever, so much so that we're just basically making human Pokemon.
Yeah.
And we run, so like they have the benefit of having been first.
Yeah.
And that's the
first, but also there's a magic to their formula that I think just works on such a fundamental, like this is why there hasn't been a Pokemon usurper ever. Is because Pokemon is not just an established brand, but it's one with a tried and true formula that, like, even when people think about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, those games released in an abysmal state. Still one of the top selling Switch games of all time because the core gameplay of the game, the Pokemon part of the Pokemon game, is so fun and engaging. Catching Pokemon will always be fun. Battling Pokemon will always be fun, even if it's not difficult.
Well, and then this is just like, it even goes as far as like, it'd be something if you had the Pokemon models and you were hitting these Pokemon models with axes, which is apparently part of most of the game. But like, it also has you throw a ball that separates and you catch them.
Yeah, again, these are intentional things. If you look, at a gameplay level, if you break down this game, it is not Pokemon. Okay, it's not. It's a survival, crafting, building game with Pokemon layered on top of it. But then you got to ask the question of why Palworld thought that the only way to find an audience with their game, because let's be honest, the only reason that this game is getting so much publicity is because it's straight up jocking their style. Is that something people say? I don't know.
Still,
yeah, they're still.
Yeah,
in their
I don't
style.
think anybody said that since 2009.
Okay. That's embarrassing for me.
Should they lose their game?
No.
I don't think so. But also,
here's the thing. I think if Nintendo comes after them, I don't think they're going to make them shut the game down. I think that they will ask them. Well, they might make them shut it down temporarily. I think if Nintendo, who would be, I think, partly within their rights here, to say, hey, that is very clearly basically a Pokeball. Basically, that's Pikachu. Basically, like, the design elements have to be more close than they are, but they're close enough that your brain goes, is that Electabuzz? You know, like, you're just kind of like, I've seen this, and it feels familiar. And that's the wave that they're riding. But I think Nintendo would just ask them to change, to create new character designs.
Yeah, which is easier said than done. But I don't know. What I was shocked the most about, and if you haven't seen this, well, I don't know if you can include gameplay from some other creators or whatever.
I will.
Like IGN went over this game in full. You can eat them.
You can eat them.
You can after you capture them. It's not like you find them and eat them in the. Well, you can do that. You find them and eat them in the wild. But like, if you need nourishment, you just will like, I choose you. Yeah. Pikachu.
You can butcher them.
And butcher them, and you just eat them for sustenance.
And it gets worse, because not only can you eat them...
Which is Pokemon taken into its logical conclusion, which we've always made jokes about. But
we know within the Pokemon universe that they eat Pokemon. We already knew that. They've told us before. They just refuse to let me try them. But it gets worse, because not only can you capture and then slaughter your best friends, your pets and your pals, but anything that is captured within a Palball becomes a Pal, including other human beings. So and anything that is a Pal can be butchered and eaten. So you can become a cannibal and consume other people.
What? No.
Are you sure you don't want to do something about this, Nintendo?
Oh.
Pokemon Company? They're mocking
Not us like defending the corporation, but you got to do something about this. You got to do something.
It's just the brand is getting all kinds of soggy right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you're going to eat a Togepi, but like, it's another.
It's the natural conclusion of Togepi. It's an egg, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It was meant to be scrambled.
Right. But, you know, when you can like capture and kill and eat Bob.
Yeah. Tim from down the lane.
Yeah, that's tough look.
But also, easiest way to become a Pokemon champion is to just eat
the trainer.
You can also just capture other trainer characters, Pokemon, or pals from them. You can just, like, that's something that Pokemon's always been like, that's gross. Don't steal.
Yeah.
And, like, trainers will swat Pokeballs out of the air if you try to throw them at their Pokemon. But in this game, they're just like, you should steal and eat your competitors. That's the fastest. Yeah. Like I said, it's not Pokemon with guns. It's Pokemon with late stage capitalism. You tell me that it's not capitalism. It's not dog eat dog out there. It's pal eat pal, and then you can turn your friends into the pal, and you can eat them.
You can
you can enslave them and make them work in your sweatshop.
You can also give a monkey a gun,
that is good.
That's cool.
Look. More games should have monkeys.
You should be able to do that in every game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you should be able to arm anyone that you want to in games.
Right, with an AK.
Yeah.
Let's move on to we're doing a big goof here.
Yeah. Palworld is fine. It's not for me. I don't think I'm going to play any more of it. I spent 2 hours.
I don't know how you play it with the 36 player open world that they talked about.
It's not fun. I don't like the gameplay. I didn't find it fun, and it's that tedium of building a base to be able to get enough resources to be able to. You don't just get the guns.
Yeah.
You got to build the guns.
Oh.
And that's not fun. If I could catch guns or catch guns, if I can catch
just a wild AR-15.
Yeah, it's a wild AK-47. Catch it. Speaking of things that are not for me and that I don't think are very good, Suicide Squad's looking real rough. And
I forgot about. I wasn't even going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk.
We got to talk.
about it.
Batman's here. We got to talk about it.
Right. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
This game looks like it's butt.
Yeah, man. So
sorry to the developers. If you want to send us a code, we will gladly change our minds.
Rockstar, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
send me one so you have a chance to change my mind.
I might change my mind.
Royden will change his mind.
We've always said I am for sale.
It's a corporate shill. I have to defend our honor here. Look, this game is troubled for sure. I think that the worst parts about this game come in the form of purple bubbles, because from my understanding, now full disclosure here, I have not played the game. I was not invited by WB to participate in the press event, but I have spoken to and seen people who have, and the same consensus is that it's a boring game with really great movement, but a confusing combat scenario. Boss fights feel very weird and not fun. And then mostly you just spend most of the game shooting purple circles off of things. How do we get here? This sucks. Rocksteady is one of the most prominent, fantastic superhero game creators of all time. How do we get here? Why are they making a multiplayer game? Why is it multiplayer?
I don't know why it's I mean they came out and said it's not a battle pass game, but it has. Why is it a live service game? That is my biggest.
How many live service games shut down last year? 40, 50?
I just don't know.
Who's asking for them?
I just don't know how you make a narratively driven live service game that people want to play with their friends.
Diablo is trying currently to do that. And as a Diablo fan, I have not played any of the seasons. It's not fun enough. They sacrifice too much of the game's heart to do that. I would have rather played an expansion pack forever than
do DLC, guys.
Just go back
to DLC.
I know it's not as profitable, because you can't squeeze every nickel and dime of the late stage capital. I'm gonna keep saying late stage capitalism today, but you're really just you're nickel and diming us. I gotta say every part of this game feels bad, and it sucks that this is gonna be Kevin Conroy's last Batman.
Not their fault.
Not their fault. I know that, but and here's the thing: the performances in the game, from what I understand, narrative wise, game is solid. It's a solid narrative. It makes sense. It's fun. The characters are fun. I don't disagree with any of that. I just think that you also have to have gameplay that I want to play if you want me to play your game. And there's
I'm not looking to swing around places with the Suicide Squad.
It looks like Fortnite.
Yeah.
Straight up the momentum and stuff, the way that things move, the traversal, even the gunplay looks like and feels like Fortnite meets Arkham. And I don't like it. I hate the way it looks. I hate the way it feels whenever you're watching it. And then on top of that, they put this in the Arkham universe, and then they've announced this Elseworlds stuff that they're going to be doing as post-launch, which, guys, I would have waited to see if the game's successful before you start playing. So I know it takes time, but maybe just to check to see if anyone's interested after it comes out, because I give it a month or two before this game's dead.
I have a really good feeling that it's going to sell really well at first.
Yeah. And then it'll die.
Yeah, it'll sell millions of copies at first or whatever. And
I expect servers to crash.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I expect servers to crash not because of an overload of people wanting to play, but because they've never launched a game that needed servers.
Yeah.
They don't know what they need to do to make sure, and they haven't done a beta. Not a open beta, not a stress test beta. And it's too late to do one now. They're a week away from launch. So
I just think this is going to get this looks like the most 6 out of 10 game that I've ever seen.
I'd be surprised if it scores above a 6 for most people, except for people who are just like, oh yeah, I love the narrative a lot. I could see someone giving it,
which is fine. The Suicide Squad is inherently a fun thing.
Yeah,
but they keep trying to make it happen.
Why is DC so adamant that
everyone wants to see the Suicide Squad?
think
last
of
movie
all
was
the
fine.
other things. Yeah, I mean, I love the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the one I hate.
With Suicide Squad.
Yeah, which, by the way, stop doing this. Stop redoing the Suicide Squad and making. I don't know what happened at DC where they were like, people are bored of Batman and they're bored of Superman, and no one would play a Green Lantern game, and who would play a Flash game? I'm like, who are you talking to, man? Make those games. You haven't made them. You haven't. You
have the
trying.
best. You have the best rogues gallery of either of the big companies.
Yeah.
Stop getting the other people in the rogues gallery to fight the people in the rogues gallery. But
Yeah.
they're fighting Superman and Batman, whatever.
Which, if you put, just come here. I love Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, Batman is great. He's one of my favorite superheroes of all time. But I need you to understand, if you put him in the game and I don't get to play as him, I'm already a little disappointed. But this is who we want to play as most of the time. One of the core heroes. I'll even take like a side character hero. What I don't want to do is to have these weird,
Well, that's not true because you didn't like the game that DC put out either.
Yeah, well, that's because that one was also it took a multiplayer studio and made it make a single player. They should have swapped.
Yeah.
Like this, here's the thing, this concept isn't bad. It's just not at the right place. They should have given this story to the other guys and then had Gotham Knights, which looked like it was set up from the ending of Arkham Knight, even though it's not connected to that universe at all, and just done that over there.
Yeah.
I don't understand this idea, though, that people are bored of these heroes. You haven't put anything out with them. It's like just like the movies. Like, we took too long to get a Flash movie out for so many reasons.
A lot of reasons.
So many reasons.
Not at all related to the star of the film. Shut up.
Yeah, you can't prove it. I mean, you can. There's lots of documentation. And there's a ton of video, and actually a lot of witnesses. And if you ask their parents, they'd probably tell you too.
Yeah, and court documents anyway.
Yeah, tons of recorded trials. But all that aside, you can't prove it.
Nope.
I just don't get this idea that like people don't want these characters. Like it's not, there's no evidence to that. Like, cause you aren't putting out product with them.
It's the idea that like you want to expand so quickly that you can make a bigger thing.
And it feels like what they're doing here. They like
instead of focusing on the things that people
hints of the other heroes in the Arkham games. Like
well, they also butchered in the movies specifically. They also like butchered the way that they handled those. Some people disagree, but they also butchered the way that they handled those characters.
Yeah.
And not giving them solo movies.
Oh,
they
for sure.
kind
I
of
would
were
totally
like,
agree.
oh, why would anybody want a solo Batman movie? And then The Batman came out.
They're
and
like,
people were like, oh yeah. Like,
they're like, oh yeah, people have seen a Batman solo movie. They're sick of it. I know they're not.
yeah.
You could keep putting on Spider-Man movies and Batman movies in perpetuity forever, and people would continue to watch them every time because people just like seeing those heroes do their thing.
We're going long on this.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad looks like it's going to be bad.
It is going to be bad, and I'm sorry about it. Let's talk about something much worse. This year, much like the end of last year,
But how much worse?
like a lot worse, like a lot of people.
A lot.
We are dealing with consequences of actions beyond our control. And by we, I mean people who are actually impacted, not you and me. You and I, we don't matter here. But yeah, unfortunately, layoffs have continued into the year. In fact, there's been more layoffs at the beginning of this year than there were in the last quarter of last year. We're already up to, I think, 3,200 layoffs altogether. Riot Games just announced that they were laying off another 500 plus employees. I know that several of the other publishers are laying off upwards of 15% of their staff. Microsoft made big cuts at the end of the year. Hasbro made big cuts at the end of the year. I mean, this is really, really impacting a lot of people. And it really doesn't necessarily even matter how successful or good their game was. The unfortunate side about 2023 was kind of twofold. One, budget ballooning happened a lot, where the cost of producing high-level video games went up so much that they couldn't afford to push the game out of a release date that was definitely overshadowed already by a bigger title. So things like Lords of the Fallen, which probably would have done well in a January or March release date, had to come out last year. They just didn't have the room to be able to push back anymore. And then the other side of that is that during the pandemic, when money was cheap and easy to invest for everyone except for the lower and middle class,
when people were getting loans from the government to continue their businesses,
so that we could keep living, But during that massive wealth exchange, if you want to check out this URL up here, that'll tell you about that. It's bullshit. But during that time, money became easy to invest, so the companies started investing. They overhired, they over-budgeted, and they overestimated how much they could actually get done.
We got to get back to work, except for now. Nuh-uh.
So now we're dealing with the other side of that. Inflation went up, costs have been driven up for everyone. So now, and this isn't true for everything, okay? I'm going to go ahead and say that right now because I can already feel someone getting mad at me in the comment section about how I'm defending CEOs. I'm not. Because the one thing we haven't heard out of all this is I'll take a pay cut to ensure 530 people don't lose their job. I got a $255 million bonus last year. I'll be using that to fund that because I don't need it. No. You don't hear that. So
my yacht needed a friend.
I'm going to blame the CEO as much as I'm going to blame overinvesting and overestimating. But this sucks to see. I hate watching good people who are good artists, good developers lose their job. I hate.
Well, then and then it's not like they can go and return, and like some people will land on their feet, but like 500 people, like
well, if
there's just not the jobs to fill.
Well, and then on top of that, if everyone's reducing jobs, then there's already less jobs to go fill anyway.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that. I mean, that's stupid, but like
people will have to start work elsewhere. That's why I think that's part of the reason we're seeing so many AAA veterans go out and start their own studios. But I don't know how long that's sustainable for them.
Right, because then you need, if they are probably on their own wealthy, but you need investors in these things to continue them. Mm-hmm. And, a bunch of these mega studios have the backing of Microsoft or Sony or whatever. I don't know where to go other than it's like you overpromised a lot of people. And we've seen this throughout, they'll tell you that like jobs, the job market is up because like 90% of people are employed or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so tough, and we've said on this, to get into this industry and then to finally get your foothold in the door only to be like, oh, sorry, the only reason that we were keeping you around is because we were getting subsidies from the government, but since they're not paying us that much, and this isn't true for everyone. I keep using that caveat. But because we were getting, not small business loans, but business loans from the government to remain open, and so we could continue trying to expand, we did, and now we're not getting that. So, oops, sorry, but I'm not going to also take the cut or hurt our investors' bottom line.
Yeah, instead of making cuts places where it would affect the least amount of people, we'll take the most amount of people we can off the payroll to offset profit. And some of these, like at the entirety of Embracer Group, where layoffs have been profit expansion, which I hate that. Don't do that. That's BS.
Well, it's also BS when these companies will like report record profits.
Yeah,
and that's true across the board in America, where these mega corporations, and we keep saying they're not your friend,
it never will be.
Like when Amazon does layoffs, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah, oh man. And same thing with like Netflix or like Google. Whenever I hear layoffs happening there, like Netflix, we know bleeds money, but they also spend so much unnecessary
$300 million
money
on the next Judd Apatow project or
whatever.
Why
are you funding Zack Snyder's fever dreams? Stop it. Guys, stop giving Zack Snyder money, please. Let's just a little bit.
We're going down a completely separate rabbit hole, but like media companies have to stop doing this.
Yeah.
One, it's overpaying for the product, but two, then firing people because that product does not succeed.
Yeah, you put so much money into it because you overinvested that it couldn't have possibly ever made a profit.
Three, C, getting rid of that product completely when it doesn't succeed.
Yeah,
like
or a tax break.
Exactly.
Also,
or you think that it won't succeed and get rid of it preemptively.
Why
we talked
is
about
that a
too.
thing that can happen at all? I was trying to wrap my head around the concept that you can produce a thing and then just get paid
for it to go away.
Yeah. You could just be like, I put money into this and I'm gonna not release it.
I don't understand tax law, but it's the weirdest thing that is
the most
companies can
bullshit thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like if we just like as a news station here produce the newscast and then decide not to put it off, like no one's gonna come pay us for that. What is this?
Yeah, our advertiser would be like, you know what?
Unrelated but kind of related. This is just a side tangent I've been waiting all week to say. Netflix, screw you, man. Getting rid of the basic tier. You just raised the prices. You think you're going to get away with right? Your app hasn't worked once for me. You think I'm going to pay you $29
for ads?
For ads? And you're going to drop the quality of the streaming? And you restricted the number of screens? And your content is garbage?
And you're moving to a live service model now.
And you are trying to suction off part of the game industry into your weird thing that's going on. I hate it, and I hate you.
Nothing worse than coming home after a long day of looking at bad screen to try and look at good screen, and it doesn't even open
screen go good.
It doesn't even open on your TV.
It crashed my entire TV the other night when we were trying to watch the American Nightmare show, and it just like it rebooted my TV. Your app is so trash, it destroyed the inner workings of my TV's mind.
That's incredible.
Get out. Get out of my home and fix your service if you're going to try to pull this crap.
Media companies, including these video game companies, reporting record profit.
Yeah.
And then firing people. We're living in a wasteland hell. I think that like something has to break one way or the other. And eventually, I think it comes down to these video game product companies will put out such a bad product.
It's going to be up to the consumers at this point.
It really is like,
guys. I know that the thing about voting with your wallet feels like it's like oh no, mega corporations will do whatever they want. They can't. They can't if you just stop buying it.
Right.
They will stop eventually. And I know that's going to mean that you, poor little you, has to go without content for like. So, but also it doesn't, because the amount of free content out there, video game, movie, TV, whatever, that exists, the amount of stuff you could just have is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and I'm not condoning this, but you don't have to pay for anything if you really
don't want to.
If you're real careful about it and the flags are flying correctly in the right direction and you don't see any British, people out
on
there
the horizon. Yeah.
You gotta.
If Paul Revere rides by, you can get it for free.
Look, all I'm just saying, a little skull and crossbones never hurt nobody. That's not an endorsement.
No. I will. Yeah.
But if you know, you know.
The vote with your wallet thing is like something that like the Dems say to be like, it'll actually pay out.
Well, it's like whenever people say every vote counts. And to you, you're like, as an individual, you're kind of like, does it though? But it does in the long run.
But anecdotally, what I will say is that like Disney, even though they're the richest corporation on the planet outside of like Apple or whatever, they're like, why people weren't going to see their stuff is a completely separate thing that isn't even worth digging into. But people weren't going to see their stuff in the amount that they thought was
pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic that they thought was like commonplace for them.
Yeah.
And then Bob Iger had a meltdown and was like, we got to change the entirety of how we even do animation and Pixar.
So much time on Twitter that
exactly. And he had like
someone called him a fugly pig, and he lost it. He's out.
Right. That's exactly why he didn't buy Twitter. But the which is an all-time quote. It was like why he didn't buy Twitter is the nastiness knows no bounds or whatever.
Everyone's real mean to me.
Yeah. So that is one example of like one guy being like, we got to change how we do this entire thing. For what reason is up to your, however you see fit. I kind of think that it's stupid, but that they would change that because I kind of like what they're doing. why he wants to change is probably bad, but also it is bad.
I will clarify there that it is bad.
Yeah, exactly. But it is an example of like you do kind of control the market if enough people have a hive mind about it.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, I blame Sonic.
Yeah, exactly.
Sonic caving to viewer.
Oh yeah, changing the teeth
to change the entire design of that character. I directly blame that interaction for making corporation CEOs scared of consumers in the wrong way.
Yeah.
They're not scared that you won't buy the thing. They're scared that if they don't do it right, you won't show up in the first place. So they're trying to like preemptively do it, and then there's companies that swing the other way. They're like, they're not gonna get me with their agendas and stuff. And it's like, dude, just make a good thing. Simply set out to make a good thing. Stop trying to shove either of these ideas.
I do think that it eventually, like with these video game companies, it'll come down to the product that they end up putting out. And
for sure.
I don't know if you know, less people, worse product. Usually,
you know, it's a great product.
What?
Hardwired. You should subscribe to
We're
Hardwired
going way
games.
long.
You should subscribe if you like what we do here. If you like getting to see us out places, you should subscribe. You should subscribe if you have a mother. That's got nothing to do with what we do here, but as a result of having had a mother,
most people do.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone should subscribe. So if you have a mom, guys, let me know. Hit that like button and leave a comment. Say, I have a mom in the comments section.
You know, it's less so. Most, you know, your mileage may vary on if you have a dad or not.
Yeah, well, and there's plenty of deadbeat moms out there, I guess, too. Anyway, that's a fun note. Go watch.
Just cut
Final
that out.
Fantasy.
That was so stupid.
Go watch Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
Do you have a deadbeat
theaters.
Dad? Subscribe to Uplink.
If you went through childhood trauma, subscribe to Uplink. We're all brothers and sisters here.
Right.
What are you playing right now?
We are playing a lot of Baldur's Gate.
Oh, we're playing so much Baldur's Gate.
Played the finals the other day, which is a free-to-play game.
A lot of fun.
Is it also on Xbox?
It is. I believe it's on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting.
Switch.
It's interesting.
Nothing's on Switch.
Yes, and then I was playing. This is now old a little bit, but God of War, Valhalla.
Yeah. I'm still making my way through it because, guys, I might be absolutely cracked at Tekken, but my guy, I am bad at other
I will
games.
die a lot in those games.
have died so much in God of War.
Yeah.
I'm currently playing through The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, review coming soon. I plan to be playing through Tekken later this week. I'm probably going to pick up Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth because I'm an idiot and I definitely don't have the 75 hours minimum it takes to finish that game.
Right.
But whatever, I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
I picked up the Avatar game. That was a mistake. It was on sale for like $35.
You kept asking me if I was going to buy it and review it, and I just kept going,
It went on sale and I was like, I just got a bonus. I've never put my money into something so fast that I so immediately regretted within like 3 hours. I was like, oh no.
Oh man, there's been a couple movies like that.
I'll finish it eventually. It's fine. I'm sure it gets better, but it's not good right now.
What are you hoping is announced in 2024?
Guys, I am hoping that Sony has a bunch of top secret projects that I can get hyped for.
Ghost of Tsushima 2, it's been 3 years.
Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Nearly 4 years.
I need a new Infamous game if we're not getting Ghost of Tsushima 2 anytime soon. I'm going to need Wolverine to show me like finished gameplay this year.
I looked at it.
I'm never going to look at a leak, but I will look at a fully released official trailer.
You know what?
I want to see it.
It looks great.
I'm excited. I'll take your word for it. And I just want to see some kooky new stuff this year. I think I'm a little over IP-driven games right now. Like,
I gotta tell you, I'm over magic wielding stuff.
Yeah, I need to get away from Viking stuff for a little bit because we had like an onslaught of Viking stuff for the last few years. I need no more magic stuff, and I need less third-person and first-person shooters. I just need something different.
Yeah.
Second person.
How does that even
It's a game where
is it right behind your head?
It's a game where someone's telling you about what's happening.
Yeah. Like
they're standing next to the person with the gun.
Yeah. You should shoot that guy.
It's a game where you're the AI voice in their head that's telling them the objective
Right, it's
markers.
like Hellblade.
Yeah.
To bring us all the way back.
Someone make a game where you get to be the objective marker for a video game, and you're like, go west.
Go here.
Go north, and then there's a second objective thing that's in your head.
You're
telling you what
the
to tell
Firefly thing from Ocarina of Time.
Hey,
Listen.
Fucking Navi.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. What I'm looking forward to playing in 2024 is, guys, a college football game is coming out this year that's going to sell like 16 million copies.
It's gonna sell so much, and all they have to do is not mess it up.
And they haven't put out one singular trailer
They
or
haven't
still
even
image.
shown us a still.
Yeah. I'm wary.
I'm worried that about, and it's kind of how I feel about like the Hellblade thing. They showed us a lot of stuff. They showed us a lot of gameplay, not real gameplay. They showed us a lot of cutscenes.
They showed us a lot of Europeans talking
And
about the game they're making.
a lot of people in mocap suits. I'm like, is your game coming out in 3 months?
Yeah.
Do you have something for that, or were you not ready? Did they not warn you that this presentation was coming? They're like, shh, throw it together.
EA, known for putting out really great football games recently.
Garbage.
Yeah.
When's
And
the
also
new
all the
Def
stuff
Jam?
that they're going to be like sued in court by like all these players.
You
but-
remember like last year whenever Def Jam's Twitter account was like, if this gets 1,000 retweets,
Right.
we'll put out. Where's my new Def Jam game, bro? Anyway,
We're going along. All right.
as always, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back soon on the. I'm going to be up to more regular uploads starting this week. You can expect a review on Tekken 8 shortly. You can expect a Weekend Warrior with Tekken 8. We're going to be all about Tekken for a little bit. To be honest with you, I'm probably going to never stop talking about it for at least like the rest of this year.
Your hands still hurt from the
My
arthritis.
hands, guys, it hurts from the arthritis, but it also just hurts from having to demolish so many people on a consistent basis. I mean, so many of you walked up multiple times. I can't believe that you had the morale to keep going after
Including the kid that kept calling us like a noob.
Hey, yeah, don't come to my booth and start trash talking me before you've picked up a controller
And then
before
just
in your
got
entire
worked.
life. I've been playing that character longer than you've been alive.
Got worked.
He
won
and then
one
he went and
round.
got his brother. And then his dad came by on the second day.
Oh.
The guy who was like, he's the greatest Eddie Gordo player of all time.
Yeah.
Demolished him. Not even worried about it.
Not even worried
about it. I wasn't worried about any of them, except for the guy in the mask.
This is going to
Please
be a
leave me
heck of an
alone.
edit.
It's going to be a long edit for me. It's going to be a long week for me.
All right.
But hey, until next time, I've been Andrew. That's Royden, and we'll catch you on the next episode.